On my night blade, I sneak and evade. On my DK, I can't even be slayed. On my Templar, shit gets bizarre. On my Sorka, exploding these orcs. On my Necro, shit gets hectic, bro. I Hannibal Lecter a hoe and dip her in blood like vegetable. Bring on the crazy sauce, that's why they call me Shady Boss 420.
Hello, it's Shady Boss 420, and today I'm going over my semi-overpowered original StamDen PvP build. So I'll start off with the gear, because that's what you want to know first. First of all, we got leeching for our jewelry. I would go all infused. I just haven't got my transmutes yet because ZOS is a piece of shit and they changed when we get our transmutes, so we have like a 2-month long campaign right now basically. But anyways, this should be infused. These two are infused and they should all be purple, but I'm just lazy. And this build works pretty good without them. So you want weapon and spell damage on the jewelry for your enchant. For your body, you want 5 pieces heavy. Doesn't matter which pieces, I recommend the chest be heavy reinforced. And then I put sturdy on most of the other pieces. The legs can be reinforced. And then I went with slodes for the body, for the waist, hands, legs, feet, and chest. And then I went with Engine Guardian for the head and shoulders, and medium. You do want 2 pieces of medium for a little bit more stam recovery and stuff. As well as a little bit of extra weapon and spell damage and crit damage. So our enchants on the gear should all be tri-stat on the big pieces, stam on the small pieces. I got it a little messed up here, so I got a tri-stat on the head, a health enchant on the chest, a stam enchant on the shoulders, a health enchant on the waist, a stam enchant on the gauntlets, a health enchant on the legs, and a stam enchant on the shoes, or boots, or whatever. And then on the back bar, you get a sword and shield of leeching, reinforced and defending. And on the front bar, we have the Maelstrom perfected sword and mace. So what this does basically, and you want the main hand to be Nirnhoned and the off hand to be sharpened. But what this does basically is the first bonus is it gives you 100 extra weapon and spell damage, not a big deal. But when you deal damage with Flurry, your single target damage over time abilities used within 4 seconds gain 1690 spell and weapon damage. So that's like a decent chunk of spell and weapon damage on your single target damage over time abilities. Now, I'll get into the skills here. Skills. So, Bloodthirsty is the version of Flurry that I'm using, and because it heals you. And then Blood Craze is your main single target damage over time ability. You could use Rending Slashes here. I use Blood Craze for a little bit extra healing, but Rending Slashes would definitely give you more damage. Especially since it increases the dot damage. And then Bird of Prey for Minor Berserk grants immunity to snares and immobilizations and gives you Major Expedition, great skill. Growing Swarm, this is mostly for the debuff, but it also does apply some dot damage, or bleed damage, but it gives your target minor vulnerability, increasing their damage taken by 5%. And this morph basically spreads it to the people near the carrier, so that's really good for outnumbered situations to deal some pressure against everybody, not just one person, since there's not a lot of AoE in this build. But we do have Subterranean and Assault. So I went with this version just to keep it more stamina. It is the weaker version, and you would have to build into Mad Recovery to use the other version to get the physical and spell resistance debuff. You'd need some more mag recovery to use that, so I would go with Jewels of Misrule and just get rid of some health for the build and put it into stamina. But we're using more of a stamina focus here, so we're using Lava Foot Soup. I'll show you that in a second. Northern Storm is our ultimate on the front bar. It gives you major protection, reducing your damage taken, and it also reduces enemies' movement speed and increases your weapon and spell damage, as well as dealing some frost damage. And then on the back bar, we have Spell Wall for our ultimate. Lotus Blossom, this is kind of a heal when you do light attacks, so when you're like, doing your, what do you call that? Like light attack, I can't think of the word for it right now, but whatever. Anyways, basically when you're hitting your light attack in between every skill, you're going to get a little bit of healing, and this also, well active, which it lasts for 60 seconds, or 57 seconds, gives you major prophecy and savagery, so it increases your spell and weapon critical, so that's pretty good. It'll increase your healing and your damage. Bullnetch, this gives us some stamina recovery, it gives us a purge, and it also restores some stamina. So this is really good for when you need to block. This will give you some stamina back while you're blocking, so it's really good for that. And it's your major and minor, or your major brutality and sorcery buff. And then Ice Fortress, this gives you minor protection, so your ult on the front bar gives you major, this gives you minor, and it also is your major resolve buff, so that's good. And then Resolving Vigor, this is your minor resolve buff, and it's also a heal over time. And then Arctic Blast, this is our burst heal, and it also can stun the enemy. But they just changed this, so it doesn't work as good for me anymore, but it used to stun them instantly when you activated it. Now, every 2 seconds, stunning them after 2 seconds for 3 seconds after activating. So, it's not like the greatest stun anymore, but it is still a really good heal, so I use it for that. Yeah, so that's it for the skills. Make sure you get all your passives and your class abilities, your two-handed, or... Yeah, you don't need two-handed. I don't know why I have two-handed. Your one-hand and shield, and your dual-wield. Your two-handed, that's just... I think that's for a different build I have on here. Anyways, yeah, get all those. Get your medium and heavy armor passives. Fighters Guild, if you want to swap out Northern Storm for Dawnbreaker, I would get all the Fighters Guild passives and put Dawnbreaker of Smiting on the front bar. That is an option for a little extra burst. I like Northern Storm, it works pretty good for me, so that's what I use. Undaunted, if you can get Undaunted Metal, do it. I don't have Undaunted leveled up on this character. Assault and support. Support, you really only need combat, medic, and battle resurrection for this build, but that's only if you're playing in Cyrodiil anyways, really. So, I mean, battle resurrection works for battlegrounds and that too, but... And then your race passes and your medicinal use in the alchemy. So going into the slottables, we're using Lavafoot, Soup, and Saltrice for extra stam, like max stam and stam recovery. Like I said, if you want to run the Magicka version of Shulk, you want to switch this out for Jewels of Misrule and build less into health. For our potion, we're running the Tri-Restoration potions. This is just a really good potion to use. Also on our front bar... Oh. Wow, I'm stupid. I don't even have potions on the front bar. I guess I'm using this enchant right here, Absorb Stam, on the front bar. And then on the back bar I'm using Gold Coast Draining Poisons. And then going into attributes, I am a... Wait, what race was I? I think I'm a red guard. Yeah, red guard. So if you're not a red guard, you'll have to build this a little differently. But as a red guard, you can have 26 points into health and 38 into stamina. And this will give you 28k, excuse me, 28k max health and 26k max stam and 1200 stam recovery. Now when you activate either one of your heals here, your health will go up. So on your back bar you'll have 33,000 health, and on your front bar you'll have 31,000 health. For our unbuffed weapon damage and spell damage on the front bar is 4k. Our weapon critical is only 11%, that's why we need that Lotus Blossom to give us a little more weapon critical. Our resistances are only 18k on the front bar, but when we activate all of our buffs, so I'll do the weapon damage and the critical first. So on the front bar we have just under 5k weapon damage and just over 20% weapon critical chance, so that's pretty good. We got 6k penetration, so our penetration is a little low. And then when I activate the resolve buff, go back to the front bar. Our front bar resistances are just under 30k, and our back bar resistances are just over 30k. Plus we have minor resolve, or minor protection when we activate our major resolve buff. And oh yeah, Engine Guardian, that's a little bit of sustain, plus you can kind of like use him to take some of the damage, so that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much the build. Sorry this build video is a little choppy, but I'm just throwing this together. I was gonna do this once I got all the traits perfect, but you know, Zos, they like to fuck us PvPers, so they kind of screwed us over for our transmutes for like an extra month, so yeah, I didn't really get the build put together the way I wanted it, but it's not too bad. So basically, when you go into combat, you want to make sure all your buffs are up. And then I usually activate the Arctic Blast to get the stun going. This didn't really stun him because it has to hit him so many times now or whatever. But anyways, when I go into combat, I start with a light attack flurry into a Fletcher infection, or growing swarm, and then blood craze, and then just basically keep light attack, flurry. Oh, and you want to have your shulks up at the same time so it goes off. And that's basically how you kill somebody. It's a lot of dot pressure, so sometimes it takes a bit to kill somebody, but eventually you can kill them pretty easily with this build when you got all those dots on them and your shulks go off. And the good thing about the stamina shulks is they hit twice. I'm not sure if the magic one still does, but this one still hits twice. So sometimes they don't see that second one coming and it does a decent bit of damage. So now, things I would change with this build if I had the transmutes, I would change our front bar weapon to a Nirnhoned mace to give us some more penetration. And I do think about changing slowed sometimes, but I'm not sure what I would change it for. That Oblivion damage is pretty nice, that kind of helps with the overall dot damage. Yeah, I do think about changing that, not sure what I would change it for. And also, I do want to put Ring of Pale Order on this build, but I just don't know what I would drop. Engine Guardian saves you quite a bit, so I don't really want to drop that, and I don't know which one of these 5 pieces I would want to drop. And definitely, I wouldn't drop the Maelstrom Perfected shit, but The Masters probably does more damage, but I have had pretty good success with this Maelstrom weapon, so that's why I'm using that. Anyways, yeah, that's the build. One more thing, going into the champion points. I haven't really tweaked these for this build, but what I'm using is Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, Untamed Aggression, and where's the other one here? Oh wait, I got Master at Arms, Biting Aura, and Deadly Aim. So yeah, really, you could probably change Biting Aura for Thermaturge, and that would give you even more damage. Master at Arms, I would keep that. But yeah, Biting Aura, the only area of effect we really have is our Growing Swarm and our Shulk. So really, I would go with Thermaturge over the Biting Aura. But this has been working for me anyways. Get all your passives. And then in the red tree, I have some shit ones. Boundless Vitality. Fortified for the extra armor. You do need that for this build. In here we have Pain's Refuge. That's really good. Basically gives you more damage reduction as long as you have negative effects on you. We don't usually have a whole lot on us because we have the Bullnetch, but even once in a while when we do have some on us, gives us some extra damage reduction. Sustained by Suffering, again, some extra recovery. And that's it. I would probably change Sustained by Suffering for Celerity for a little bit more movement speed, and that would be good. But yeah, that's the build. Green tree doesn't really matter. Yeah, so try it out. Tell me if you like it. It worked pretty good for me. I did a gameplay video a couple weeks ago. I was gonna do like a more put together build video, but I'm just throwing this out because I'm kind of pissed off about the whole transmute situation with the campaigns. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, peace out.